Harlem, 1966, 11:43 p.m. Billy Ray's hand was shaking as he poured gasoline around the brownstone on 137th Street. 5 gallons, splashing it on the front steps, the door, the first floor windows, $50,000. That was what Frank Lucas had paid them. The Georgia Klan, 5 men, 1 mission, burn down Bumpy Johnson's building with Bumpy inside. The plan was simple. Pour the gas, light the Molotov cocktails, throw them through the windows. Building goes up in flames. Bumpy dies. They're back in Georgia by sunrise. Easy money. Behind Billy Ray stood 4 other Klansmen, Earl holding 2 Molotov cocktails, bottles stuffed with rags, ready to ignite, Jimmy with a shotgun. 12 gauge. In case anyone tried to run out, Bobby with a .45 pistol. Back up. And Big Mark on the corner. 6'4", 290 pounds, lookout. Billy Ray finished pouring, stepped back. The gasoline fumes were overwhelming. One spark and this whole block would light up. He nodded to Earl. Earl pulled out a lighter, flicked it. The flame danced in the darkness. He touched it to the first rag. It caught fire. Orange. Hot. Deadly. Earl raised his arm to throw, and then a voice came from directly behind them, calm, steady, almost friendly. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." All 5 men spun around. Bumpy Johnson stood 15 feet away, wearing a black suit, black tie, hands in his pockets, like he'd been waiting for them. Behind him stood 30 men, armed, silent, surrounding the entire block. And Billy Ray Calhoun realized they'd walked into a trap. "Drop the bottle," Bumpy said. "Nice and slow, unless you want to see how fast 30 men can shoot." Earl's hand was shaking. The Molotov cocktail felt like it weighed 100 pounds. One throw and this whole thing goes sideways. One drop, and he's got 30 guns on him. The bottle slipped from his fingers. Shattered on the sidewalk, fire spread across the concrete. Bumpy's men stomped it out, boots crushing flames. "Now kick your weapons toward me," Bumpy said. They did. Guns clattered on the pavement. "Step back, hands where I can see them." The 5 Klansmen stood in a line, white faces, white fear, surrounded, outgunned, outplayed. What they didn't know, what Frank Lucas didn't know, was that Bumpy Johnson had known about the firebombing for 2 weeks. And what he'd prepared in those 2 weeks wasn't just survival, it was annihilation. 2 weeks earlier, August 25th, 1966, 4:17 p.m., Bumpy sat in his study with a file folder. Inside were photographs. And 5 Klansmen from Georgia, all heading to New York, all hired by Frank Lucas to burn him alive. His cousin Nat stood by the window. "Frank's getting desperate," Nat said. "Frank's getting stupid," Bumpy corrected. "Hiring the Klan in Harlem? That's not desperation, that's suicide." Bumpy opened the file, started reading the intelligence his people had gathered. Billy Ray Calhoun, 38 years old, Grand Kleagle of the Valdosta chapter. 3 kids, Sarah, age 9, Tommy, age 7, little Martha, age 4, wife also named Martha, runs Calhoun Auto Repair on Highway 84. Earl Morrison, 42, drug problem, oxy pills, gets them from Dr. Gerald Matthews in Macon. Fake prescriptions, DEA doesn't know yet. James Thornton, 35, sheriff's deputy, on the Klan payroll, takes bribes from bootleggers, looks the other way during lynchings. Robert Hayes, Divda Smit Divini, lumber mill worker, trying to live up to his father's legacy. Grand Dragon Hayes died in 1963. Bobby's desperate to prove himself worthy. Marcus Dockery, 45, Vietnam vet. Dishonorable discharge for raping a Vietnamese woman in 1964. That's the secret nobody knows. That's the shame he carries. Bumpy studied each file, each photograph, each weakness. "They're desperate men," Bumpy said quietly. "Desperate and hateful. Bad combination. So we kill them? Nat asked. No, we give them a choice. They walk away, they live, they try to burn my building, they learn what fire really feels like. Bumpy had learned something over 40 years in the game. Violence was easy. Any fool could kill. But making men afraid, making them understand the cost of their choices, that was art. Get me everything on these five, Bumpy told Nat, where they live, where their families sleep, what they're afraid of, what they love, what they die to protect. For the next 2 weeks, Bumpy's network went to work. Not in New York, in Georgia. Black porters who worked the trains, maids who cleaned Klan meeting halls, janitors who emptied trash cans full of discarded plans. The invisible people. The ones white supremacists never noticed. They saw everything, they heard everything, and they reported everything to Bumpy Johnson. By September 1st, Bumpy knew Billy Ray was having an affair with his neighbor's wife. By September 3rd, Bumpy had evidence of Earl's pill addiction and the doctor enabling it. By September 5th, Bumpy had proof of Jimmy's bribes and Bobby's desperation to prove himself. By September 7th, Bumpy had Mark's court-martial records, the rape, the dishonorable discharge, the secret that would destroy him if his Klan brothers ever found out. And by September 8th, the night the Klansmen arrived, Bumpy had 30 armed men positioned around his building, waiting, watching, ready, not to kill, to teach. September 8th, 1966, 11:45 p.m., Billy Ray stood with his hands raised, staring at Bumpy Johnson, the man they'd driven 17 hours to kill, the man who was supposed to be inside that building, burning, screaming, dead. Instead, he was standing in front of them, calm, controlled, in complete command. You boys came a long way to die, Bumpy said. We ain't scared of you, Billy Ray said. His voice shook. He was terrified. You should be, but you're more scared of Frank Lucas. That's why you took his money. That's why you drove from Georgia. That's why you're standing in Harlem with gasoline on your hands, ready to burn down a building full of families. Bumpy walked closer. Slow, deliberate, like approaching a wounded animal. Let me tell you what's going to happen. My people already searched you. Found the 25,000 franc paid you up front. We're keeping that. Stupidity tax. Billy Ray's jaw clenched. That was their money. They'd earned it. They'd driven 17 hours for it. Now you got a choice, Bumpy continued. Simple one. Life or death? What choice? Earl asked. His voice cracked. Bumpy snapped his fingers. One of his men stepped forward, handed Bumpy 5 envelopes. These contain everything I know about you. Billy Ray Calhoun, Earl Morrison, James Thornton, Robert Hayes, Marcus Dockery. He said each name, perfectly, like he'd known them his whole life. Billy, you want to tell your wife, Martha, about Mrs. Patterson next door? How you've been visiting her every Tuesday when Martha takes the kids to church? Billy's face went white. Earl, how much oxy you taking a day now? 3 pills? 4? DEA would be real interested in Dr. Matthews's prescription records. Earl started sweating. Jimmy, those bootlegger payoffs, you think Internal Affairs wouldn't love to see the receipts, the dates, the amounts? Jimmy's jaw clenched. Bobby, you trying so hard to live up to your daddy, Grand Dragon Hayes, big legacy. Too bad you're about to die in Harlem before you ever measure up. Bobby looked at the ground. And Mark. Bumpy's voice got quieter, colder. June 12th, 1964. Da Nang, you remember that day? You remember what you did to that Vietnamese woman? You remember why they kicked you out? Mark's fists clenched, his face red, his eyes burning with rage and shame. I know everything, Bumpy said. Where you live, where you work, where your families sleep, where your secrets are buried. And I got people in Georgia, People who can make phone calls, send letters, drop evidence on doorsteps. He held up the envelopes. These contain proof, photos, documents, witness statements, everything, enough to destroy each of your lives. Jail for some, divorce for others, shame, ruin, your clan brothers learning what you really are. Bumpy set the envelopes on the hood of a parked car. Here's the deal. You get back in your truck, drive back to Georgia, tell Frank Lucas that Bumpy Johnson can't be touched, and you never, ever come back to Harlem. You do that, these envelopes stay sealed. Your secrets stay secret. Your families stay safe. And if we don't, Billy asked, then tomorrow morning, 5 packages get mailed. Your families learn everything. The DEA learns about Earl. Internal Affairs learns about Jimmy. The Klan learns about Mark's dishonorable discharge. Everyone learns everything. Silence. Just the sound of distant sirens and someone's radio playing Motown 3 buildings over. Billy looked at his crew, at Earl, sweating and shaking, at Jimmy, jaw tight, defeated, at Bobby, young and scared, at Mark, seething but smart enough to know when he was beat. We leave, Billy said quietly. We go now. Smart man, Bumpy replied. 4 of them started walking toward their truck, parked 3 blocks away. Black Ford pickup, Georgia plates. But Big Mark didn't move. He stood there, fists clenched. 6'4", to 290 pounds of rage and humiliation. You think you tough? Mark said. His voice was deep, gravelly, full of venom, and a racial slur that died on his lips when 40 guns clicked simultaneously. Safety's off, hammers back, all pointed at his head. Say it, Bumpy said quietly. Go ahead, say the word. Give my people a reason. Mark looked around, at the guns, at the faces behind them, at the neighborhood full of people who'd had enough of men like him, people whose grandparents had been lynched by men in white robes, people whose churches had been burned by men like Mark, people who would pull those triggers without hesitation. Mark lowered his fists. Ain't worth it, he muttered. No, it ain't. Mark turned, started walking, caught up with the others. They reached their truck at 11:54 p.m., got in. Billy Ray started the engine. Yin put it in drive, pulled away from the curb, made it to the corner. And then the truck exploded. September 8th, 1966, 11:58 p.m. The blast shook windows 3 blocks away. Orange fireball, black smoke, shattered glass raining down like deadly snow. The truck flipped, landed on its roof. Flames everywhere. People screamed. Bumpy didn't move, just stood there, watching. Nat ran up beside him. What the hell just happened? Tiny, Bumpy said calmly. I told him to plant something in their truck. Insurance policy. They were leaving. You said they could go. I said they could go if they left, but look. Bumpy pointed. In the burning wreckage, visible through the flames, were weapons, new weapons, not the ones Bumpy's men had confiscated. Backup weapons hidden in the truck bed under a tarp. 2 shotguns, 3 pistols, and more Molotov cocktails. They were going to circle back, Bumpy said. Wait an hour. Try again from a different angle. Mark especially. I saw it in his eyes. He wasn't leaving. He was regrouping. The truck burned. Fire trucks in the distance. Police sirens wailing, getting closer. How many made it out? Nat asked. Bumpy walked toward the wreckage. The heat was intense. The smell was worse. Burning rubber, gasoline, flesh, 4 bodies inside the truck. Burned beyond recognition, but 1 door was open. Passenger side, blood trail leading into an alley. Someone had jumped out before the explosion. 1 survived, Bumpy said. Who? Let's find out. They found Billy Ray Calhoun 2 blocks away, collapsed in an alley, bleeding from shrapnel wounds, burns on his left arm and face, 3rd degree on some of them, conscious, but barely. He looked up at Bumpy. Terror, pain, confusion, all at once. Please, Billy whispered. Please don't kill me. I got kids, I got... Bumpy knelt beside him. What happened? I saw it. Under the seat. Didn't look right. Wires. Something wrong. Grabbed Bobby. Tried to pull him out. Couldn't. Explosion threw me. You tried to save him. He's dead? They're all dead. Billy started crying, tears mixing with blood on his burned face. What do I tell their families? You tell them the truth, Bumpy said. You came to Harlem to kill a man. That man was smarter. That man was ready. And 4 of you died because you underestimated him. Why'd you let me live? Because you tried to save Bobby. Because under all that hate, there's still something human in you. And because I need you to deliver a message. Bumpy pulled an envelope from his jacket, dropped it on Billy's chest. Give this to Frank Lucas, hand-delivered. Don't open it. Don't read it. Just give it to him. Tell him 4 men died trying to kill me. Tell him the 5th only survived because I let him. What's in it? His future. An ambulance arrived 8 minutes later. Paramedics loaded Billy onto a stretcher, took him to Harlem Hospital. He survived. Spent 6 days in the burn unit. 3 days after discharge, he took a Greyhound bus back to Georgia, walked into Frank Lucas's apartment, handed him the envelope. Didn't say a word, just turned and left. Billy Ray quit the Klan the next day, quit his job at the auto shop, moved his family to South Carolina, started over, never told anyone the full story. I just said, don't go after Bumpy Johnson, don't even think his name. And people listened, because Billy Ray came back with burns on his face and 4 friends in the ground. That was message enough. September 13th, 1966, 8 p.m. Frank Lucas opened the envelope. His hands were shaking. Inside was a single photograph. The burned-out truck. 4 bodies visible through the flames, blackened, twisted, dead. And on the back, written in neat handwriting, this is what happens when you bring the Klan to Harlem. This is what happens when you try to burn innocent families alive just to get to me. This is what happens when you forget who you're dealing with. Your tribute is now $50,000 a month. You pay on time, every time, or the next bomb goes in your car. Not a threat, a promise. First payment due October 1st. BJ. Frank stared at the photo, at the bodies, at the message. He'd paid the KKK $50,000 to kill Bumpy. Half up front, $25,000. Bumpy had taken that money, killed 4 of the 5 Klansmen, sent 1 back as a messenger, and doubled Frank's tribute. Frank had lost everything: money, respect, fear. Bumpy had gained everything: psychological dominance, a warning to every criminal in New York, complete control. Frank picked up his phone, dialed with shaking fingers. Who's this? A voice answered. It's Frank. I need to talk to Bumpy. Hold. 2 minutes of silence. Then Bumpy came on the line. You got my message? Yeah, I got it. You understand what it means? Frank closed his eyes, defeated. I understand. Good. 50,000. Cash. October 1st. My cousin Nat will collect. You're short even $1. We have a problem. A permanent one. I'll have it. I know you will, because you're not stupid enough to try this again. Are you, Frank? Silence. Are you, Frank? No, I'm done. No more. I don't believe you, but it doesn't matter, because I'll be watching. I'll know before you know. And next time, Frank, next time I won't send a survivor. I'll send 5 coffins to Georgia with your name on the return address. Click. Frank sat there, holding the dead phone, the photograph in his other hand. He'd tried to kill Bumpy Johnson 5 times now. Poison, shooters, assassins, firebombing. Every time Bumpy had known, every time Bumpy had won, every time Frank paid more. And now he was paying $50,000 a month, $600,000 a year, just to stay alive. Here's what Frank Lucas never understood about Bumpy Johnson. You can't win a war when your enemy knows every move before you make it. Frank hired the KKK thinking they were outside Bumpy's reach. White supremacists from Georgia. No connection to Harlem. No way for Bumpy to know. He was wrong. Bumpy had informants everywhere, not just in New York, in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, the entire South. Black workers who cleaned Klan meeting halls, maids who listened at doors, porters who carried bags and heard conversations. The invisible people. The ones white supremacists never noticed because they thought black people didn't matter. Those people saw everything, and they told Bumpy everything. 2 weeks before the Klansmen arrived, Bumpy knew their names, knew their mission, knew their secrets. And instead of running, he prepared. Set a trap. Let them pour the gasoline. Let them light the matches. Ned then gave them a choice. Most would have killed all 5, made an example, sent 5 bodies back to Georgia. But Bumpy was smarter. He killed 4, let 1 survive. Why? Because dead men can't deliver messages. Billy Ray went back to Georgia and told everyone, "Don't mess with Bumpy Johnson." That story spread through the Klan, through the mob, through every criminal organization from New York to Atlanta. And suddenly, nobody wanted Frank's money. Nobody wanted the contract. Because the last 5 men who tried ended up dead. Burned alive in their own truck. Killed by the fire they brought to Harlem. That's poetic justice. That's strategic genius. That's Bumpy Johnson. Frank thought violence was the answer. Bumpy knew information was the weapon. Frank spent $50,000 trying to kill Bumpy. Bumpy spent maybe $500 on a bomb and some folders. And Frank lost money, men, and respect. Bumpy gained dominance, fear, and total control. That's not just winning. That's mastery. If this story showed you what real power looks like, smash that subscribe button right now. We drop Bumpy Johnson legends every week, and they only get more insane. Drop a comment. Would you have let Billy Ray live, or would you have finished all 5? Turn on notifications because next week we're breaking down the night. Bumpy walked into a mob trial and walked out with 3 witnesses changing their testimony. You do not want to miss it. Remember, in Harlem, the smartest survived, and Bumpy Johnson was always the smartest man in the room.